What's going on, guys? In this video, I'm going to be giving you a full business playbook for 2026, right? Because every year things change, social media change, everything changes. My name is Rodrigo. I am a creative director in Fayetteville, North Carolina. I have my own video production company, which is called Rod Studio. That's how we got started. We basically specialize in weddings, events, but also commercials. And after doing, commercials, right? I got more into the marketing, which is something that I love, right? Love doing marketing, but I love doing marketing the right way. I actually like to build out systems, and these systems have helped me build Rod Studios into what it is today, and also gave me this opportunity to work with closely with local clients, local business owners who want to grow, who want to expand, who want to be better, who want to be well known, and who have been here locally for years, but nobody really knows them, right? So with this playbook that I'm going to give you, anybody can use it, but if you're a local business, I want you to capitalize on this playbook, because again, we are in an era where it's easy for any business to grow. Like it's super easy. Don't overcomplicate it. And if I'm being honest, the playbooks that worked 10 years ago don't really play right now, right? And if you're using marketing tactics or marketing playbooks that were, good 10, 15 years ago, get rid of them, right? The game has completely changed, and I'm gonna give you every single step, every single change that has happened, and how you can take advantage of that right now, today, 2026. So real quick, most businesses are failing right now, not because of their product, but because their brand is pointing at the wrong person. And here's the thing, nobody told them, but don't you worry. Sorry, I'm here to break it down. So before we start anything, before we start posting on social media, before we start running Facebook ads, before we start, choosing the right fonts, the colors, the logos, et cetera, or even if you already have that down, right? One important question that you have to ask yourself is, how strong is your base? Who is your client? Who am I really trying to serve, right? And not only that, who am I trying to serve, but who do I enjoy serving? Who do I enjoy bringing my business to? Who do I enjoy, who are the people that come to my business or, get my service that I truly enjoy working with them, right? Because again, we are in an era where you can really deep dive into all of this and expand that business without having to rely on whoever comes, right? Whoever is here, right? If your product or your service is more in the high end, you want to make sure you're attracting those clients that are in the higher end. If you're in the mid tier, if you're in the low tier, et cetera. Again, it saves you time, it saves you energy, it saves you, bumping heads with people who you don't want to bump heads with, et cetera. And here's the thing, most people build their personal and business brand around what they do, but only the ones who are, especially now, are achieving that expansion and are building it around the clients, right? Not themselves, but the clients. So who do you really want to serve, right? Not just who needs you, but who energizes you, who actually has the money to work with you, who actually is there that, you enjoy talking to, whether that's a service, whether that's a shop that you have, whether that's a store that you have. Who do you enjoy coming into your store? Your brand is more powerful when it speaks to one certain person. And you gotta understand, what are they really asking for, right? They're not asking for a logo, they're not asking for a website. They're asking for trust, they're asking to be heard, they're asking to, gain some knowledge from you. And that's the kind of stuff that's gonna take you from let's say like an entry level business owner to a high-end business owner where you actually connect with your customers. And once again, we are in an era where you can actually make people comfortable with you without even meeting you yet, right? Again, the power of social media, the power of just personal branding overall, like where are you appearing, who are the people that you're hanging out with, right? Somebody's always watching, especially if you're active on social media, somebody's always watching. And if you do it right, the clients that you want to have in your business, right? They're gonna be watching. People, whenever they come to you for a service or your store, whichever one, they're already gonna have that trust before they even meet you, before you guys even speak, based on what you do on social media, right? Especially if you dedicate some of those posts to them, and again, building your brand up, building your business up on the web, right? A lot of people are gonna trust you before they even meet you in person. So building that trust plays a big role in how many clients are gonna come through the door just to see you. So let's break down personal branding, right? Because again, personal branding, business branding, we're in an era where they're about the same. Whether you like it or not, your personal brand and your business brand are constantly connecting, right? And I think it's a great opportunity to grow and expand. Like, instead of looking at it in a negative way, look at it as a way to grow and expand. So who are you before you say a word? Again, it goes back to everybody is watching, whether that's social media, whether you're coming into a podcast, whether somebody who knows somebody, et cetera, right? How are you appearing when you're not in the room, right? So your name, your face, your story, your background, your values, your reputation. What people say about you when you're not in the room, that's your personal brand. And the same rules apply to your business. In any community, local or online, people are always going to buy more from the person they know, like, and trust. Those are the three big things: know, like, and trust. Doesn't matter what year we're in, 2016. This is the only thing that matters. Whether that was 10 years ago, 20 years from now, it's still going to be the same thing that matters: know, like, and trust. The only thing that changes is how you get there, right? How you get people to know you, how you get people to like you, and how you get people to trust you. Those are the three main pillars, right? Which I will go in more detail in a different video. But again, those are your main three, right? How you make that happen is what normally changes year by year, or every 5 years, I would say. But again, we're in an era where branding in general is playing a big role in this. So your story is your advantage, right? Where you come from, what have you overcome, what you stand for, that cannot be copied. So you want to use it, right? Again, if you're comfortable, but I would say use it. Clarity before visibility, right? So once again, how are you showing up, right? Before you post anything, before you run any Facebook ads, how are you showing up in front of these people, right? Get in rooms where, there's more people, get in rooms where there's other business owners, get in rooms where you can market yourself, network, meet other people, not try to be so like trying to sell your services or business or whatever. Just meet people, see what they want, see what they need, see what they're asking for. Let them know about you, and then lead them over to the social media. So again, that's one way to, clarity before visibility, right? Again, before running ads, make sure you're appearing in those rooms, in those communities where you want to be the most active at. And again, it's common sense. If you want to be active in a community, you got to be active. And once again, trust travels through people first. So build the trust, build the foundation. Again, get in rooms, very important. And then the leads and the qualified leads and the business will follow. Now, before I continue, I want to make one thing very clear, right? Personal branding and being an influencer are two different things, right? Completely different. Because again, we live in an era where this is new to a lot of stable businesses, but who still want to grow, right? They don't want to get on camera, they don't want to grab their phones, they don't want to take pictures, et cetera, right? Which is fine, but at the same time, you got one of the biggest pushbacks that they give is, I don't want to be an influencer, right? You don't have to be an influencer. Again, being an influencer and building your personal brand are two completely separate things, right? They shouldn't be entwined together, right? Completely different. So what are some differences, right? So with an influencer, right, audience is the product, where a personal brand is reputation is the product. For influencer, reach and followers equals value. For personal brand, trust and authority equals value. For an influencer, content is the business. personal brand supports the business, right? So again, big difference there. An influencer built around attention. That's the biggest thing, built around attention. For a personal brand, is built around credibility. So you can get, any influencer can get any kind of attention they want in any way, right? The reaction or the outcome from that can vary, right? It can go, people can hate that influencer, people can love that influencer. The only thing they're seeking for is attention. But when you're building a personal brand, the attention that you're looking for is credibility, right? So not attention, right? More of credibility, right? So smaller things have a bigger impact, especially if you are doing that credibility around the communities that you want to serve, and you want to establish yourself as the professional. And then again, an influencer works anywhere. There's no roots. Like take like the FIFA World Cup, right? You got a lot of influencers going to the World Cup, just to get likes, follows, share, give information here and there. But again, once the FIFA's over, they move on to the next thing. A personal brand is rooted in the community, and again, relationships. So again, personal brand rooted in the community and relationships, that's not going to go away. The relationships and the connections that you make that are strong, those are going to be there forever, or as long as you want them to be there. And those connections can lead you to more connections, and again, overall feed the same brand, which is your personal brand, your business brand, which again, they're separate, but at the same time they work together, especially in this in 2026. So let's talk about your business brand, right? So if we're going from personal to business brand, so that way you can kind of see like the differences, right? A business brand, right? The identity, right? So like your logos, your colors, your fonts, basically the first impressions people get from seeing your business, right? Your messaging, right? So basically, whether that's like a font, like a message, like a storefront message, a social or a post on social media or on your website, whatever captions you have on there is basically like, a message that clients are going to read. They're going to read that every single time they see your logo. They're going to read it every time they go into your website. So whatever you put there, that's the message that they're going to receive, right? Number 3, presence. So like the presence. So like, where are you? Like, are you social media, the website, Google Business, community posts? Again, the main ones that you want, the big 3 is your website, Google Business, social media. Now, social media is probably ahead. You can do social media, right, without having a website or even without having a Google Business, but I am going to go into detail about that in a second, all right? And then the last thing, number 4, is proof. So like reviews, testimonials, case studies. Without proof, you're just a claim. That's all you are. So like, I claim that I can do photography, right? I claim that I can do videography, right? I claim that I'm a creative director, right? Again, without proof, it's just a claim. I can claim that I own Walmart, right? But without proof, it's just a claim. Now I want to tie it all together, right? Like your personal brand and your business brand, right? How they work together, right? And why your personal brand is very important to grow your business, right? And the whole business brand. Here's the thing that a lot of people don't get yet, right? It doesn't matter who you are. If you are a real estate agent, if you own a store, if you own a online store, if you clean houses, if you do photography, videography, whatever, right? You already have a personal brand without you even knowing. The real question is, who's building it for you? Are you building it for you, or is it building itself without you? Nowadays, we live in an era where marketing completely has changed, right? A lot of people are stuck in the past. A lot of people are stuck back in radio, back in whatever, right? Where we are at right now, it's a lot cheaper to get more business, right? A lot cheaper. You can almost run a full business without ever running ads, without ever running Facebook ads, without ever running Google ads. all organic content, right? So we live in an era where you can run organic content and still have a full on business. Again, it's 2026. Most businesses treat brand, marketing, content, ads, presence as separate things, but they're not. They're all one marketing system. They're all connected. They all speak to the same person. And whenever you understand that, that's going to be your competitive edge, right? Whenever you understand that we live in an era where marketing went from colors, fonts, uh, magazines, advertisements, and then running Facebook ads, um, and then from everything being separate into one consumer motion, right? And that's what I like to call it: consumer motion, consumer loop, right? That's the whole framework, right? And it's your job, especially in 2026, if you want to succeed and expand, right, and continue to grow, to find the leaks. Where are the leaks that you need to fix? Now, I want to touch back again when I mentioned that people can run, yes, on social media and have a full out business. The key difference is this though. It's a small percent. So yes, you got TikTok shop, you got, you can do Instagram, you can do Facebook without having a website, without having a Google business, without having anything else, right? You can run stuff just off social media, but it's not a lot of people that can actually charge a premium if you're only running on social media, right? Let me explain. What we're looking at is everything's on social media now, right? Everybody's trying to be a salesman on social media. Everybody's trying to get on TikTok shop. Everybody's trying to do that, right? And what happens when everybody's trying to do one certain thing, people want to move on, right? So for let's just take the AI generated stuff for example, right? There was a time, I don't even think it lasted that long, where everybody was doing AI generated stuff. Like your whole wall on Facebook was all AI, right? People got tired of that, right? And it got to the point where if you're a business and you are running AI generated posts or stuff like that, people most likely are going to ignore it, right? They're going to pay attention more to the boring iPhone, Samsung photo that your competitor post, because it feels more grounded, feels more rooted, feels like I actually care for what I post, right? Sure, AI was cool to post, but everybody started doing it. So then most of the consumers and clients starting to shift away from that, right? So same things going on with like the TikTok shop and all that. They're not going anywhere, don't get me wrong. They're making money, right? They're making money. But if you are a local business who you're trying to sell more than like 25 cents, $5 stuff, $10 stuff, $20 stuff, right? Let's just take Rod Studio for example, right? Most of my weddings are anywhere from 2K to 4K, right? If I'm just posting on Facebook or on social media, sure, I'll get a clients here and there, but I kind of doubt that I will be fully booked for the whole year like I am now. Again, it varies case by case, but again, with my positioning where I got social media, I got the website, I got the Google business, every year my business can continue to grow, right? Every year I can, let's say, bump the prices up, right? Because again, I'm fully booked this year, right? And I'm already booking for next year. If I start getting fully booked for next year, without, before 2027 even comes around, right? I'm gonna bump my prices up, right? It's that's how you do business. If you're getting overbooked, I'm bumping my prices up. So that's how it's looking. So that's what I'm gonna end up doing it. But the only reason why I can bump my prices up is, again, I look as a premium, or I am a premium, right? So I do give a premium service, but I want to make sure on the social media, on my online presence says that I'm premium. So I'm not just on social media. I have my website, right? I have my Google business. I have my blogs. I have my YouTube channel, right? Rod Studio Films. Again, it's where I'm appearing that shifts from this is just a business, like a social media business, right? to a legit business. And I'm not saying you're not a legit business if you're in social media. I'm just saying the way you appear versus that premium field, it's a little bit different. Now, a few years from now, right? Now, a few years from now, that might change. Again, like I said, everything changes. A few years from now, everything can run strictly on social media, right? No website needed, no Google Business, et cetera, et cetera. But again, you got to realize that we live in an era where when people who were born from 1995 all the way to 2005, right? We are kind of like in the middle where we got to see what it was before for, older people, and we're also getting to see what it is for younger people, right? And we're gonna be here for a while. You know what I mean? We're gonna be here for a while. So as long as we're here, there's always that, excuse me. As long as we're here, there's always gonna be that connection with the past and the future, right? Because again, people in the Gen Zs right now, or alphas, right, that are being born right now, or already born, they're gonna remember what millennials and Gen Zs are doing, and they're gonna remember that. They're not really gonna remember too much of, what millennials remember, like the 1990s Christmas stuff, or before that, or you know what I'm saying, like all that nostalgia, right? They're not gonna remember that because their nostalgia is what we're living in right now, right? So again, we live in an era where you can run Facebook ads for younger generation, but you can also run Facebook ads for the older generation, right? Again, it's pretty cool that if you really think about it, both sides are connected, and you have all these tools to market to different people at once, right? And it's so easy. You just gotta understand that. You just gotta understand the era that we're in, and you gotta understand how to use that era to your advantage. So one example, like I would say maybe 15 years ago, right? Having a website with your bio on it was enough for it to be like, wow, this is a professional business. This is a professional guy, woman, whatever, right? I fully trust them. Why? Because they have a website. Not everybody has a website. Not everybody has a website with a bio. I trust this person. Nowadays, anybody can have a website. You can build a website on Wix. You can build a website on Squarespace. You can whatever, right? You just create a website with Cloud. Again, anybody can have a website. Anybody can have a website with a bio. That doesn't, nowadays, it's worth nothing, right? Again, it's nothing, unless everything else is connected. Social, website, Google Business, right? Now, let's get into the consumer motion framework, right? Basically the buyer's loop. Again, big difference from a few years ago to now is before, normally they would use, and again, they still use this method, right? I actually sat down, I'm not gonna name names, but they are a established marketing company. They don't really focus on marketing, but what they have is based off marketing, and they use a funnel, right? So basically within that funnel, they run ads or basically ads to this big group, and then from this big group they try to like see who they can catch in this funnel. Basically, okay, you know what it is, the radio. Because again, okay. So I sat down with a radio company not too long ago, right? And they were explaining to me how they do their stuff, which is cool. I get it, and it to this day it does work for certain businesses, but there's a lot of new businesses that will benefit much more from consumer motion that I'm giving you for free than paying $2,500 for them to, play an ad on the radio. And then what they're doing is they're basically using the cone method, where they throw like all this money in a big cone, and then like people who actually want to buy go inside that cone, and there's your leads, right? Again, it's a method that worked fantastic 15 years ago. This is a new era though, right? This is a new era, especially for premium stuff, right? People nowadays that actually, and I don't want to sound bad or rude, but again, people who are listening to the radio, going to work, probably don't have premium money. Again, that's why I said this works for certain local businesses, but for this specific business that I was we were talking about was a very, very, very high end business. We're talking about 50K, 20 to 50K, and a lot more per project. So again, somebody, doesn't matter the age, who is clocking in the morning on their way listening to the radio, most likely does not have that money, right? And the ones that do are very, very minimum compared to the ones we can reach through Facebook ads, through Google ads, and just overall building the whole business brand, right? This consumer motion that I created is basically to kind of, again, see where we are losing clients, customers, where are they coming in, where are they kind of drifting away and not sticking around, right? So the goal here is basically that your goal with this that I'm about to give you for free is figure out where are those gaps, those leaks, and find a way to close them. That's it. So stage one, discovery. Where are people finding you, right? So again, most goes back to like you need the full thing to catch the people, right? So again, where are they finding you? Are you strictly on social media? So the only place they're gonna find you is in Facebook or Instagram or TikTok. And if you are on social media, are you running all those socials or are you sticking to one, right? Again, you can be running Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, et cetera, but you might be leaving a lot more on the table if that's all you're doing, right? Website, right? If you have a really good website, let's just say home renovation companies, if you got a really good website and you're actually appearing on Google, all your stuff is coming in from Google, right? You can do Google ads, work on your SEO, make sure that whoever did your website connected all the right links, especially if they switch stuff around. Make sure everything's indexed. Make sure if you have a website, you gotta have a Google Business profile. Got to, especially if you're a service business, right? You got to have a Google Business profile, so that way your Google Business can feed your website and vice versa. So again, if you only got a website, now you're leaving a whole bunch of clients on the table if you don't have your social media, and that includes Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, and then again, you don't have to be on every social. It just really depends on your business, right? And who your clients are, because that plays a big role. Who your clients are, right? Again, I would just say pick two. I would say my main pick would be Facebook and Instagram. But again, it depends on your business and where you want to get to. And I guess the other one I could say is like if you have a storefront, local business with a store, but you don't have any socials, you don't have a website, you don't have a Google Business, you solely depend on word of mouth. Again, you're leaving a shit ton of business on the table. So again, you want to make sure you close those gaps by, again, picking one social media, get your website up, and fits in your Google Business. So yeah. Why is it important to have these three things, right? Again, my main three things that I said is social media, a website, Google Business, right? Obviously Google Business if your business apply, but most of the time, most service and local businesses apply, Google Business. And you don't have to put a address on your Google Business. You just got to have a Google Business so you can get reviews on there and all that good stuff for Google SEO. Now, why am I pushing those three for stage two? And that's your credibility, right? Once people find you, now what, right? Once they find you, now what? Let's just take for example, right? Somebody, let's say your business is only on social. Let's just say Instagram, right? Your business is only on Instagram. Sure, you can have Facebook and all that stuff, but this is all on social media, right? Let's just take a wedding photographer, right? You're only posting on social media, and you do some good stuff. You got some great stuff, some good work. Somebody who goes through social media, who, you know, a couple who's looking for a wedding photographer for their wedding, right? They got two options. They got you, and then they got somebody else, right? They're between. They go to you, they love your stuff, they go through your social media, they like everything you post. It's awesome, perfect. Then they go to another person, right? Same thing. They're on social media, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. They showcase their stuff, awesome. But they have a link to their website. They click on that website. They go to a bigger gallery, and the website explains down the breakdown of how he works with people. Again, he has a full, a form to go ahead and fill out. Tells a little bit about his pricing, et cetera, et cetera. It's easier for them to fill that out. Boom. And then again, in their mind, unconsciously, they're probably going with him. One of the reasons why is because, again, he looks more premium, more professional than somebody who's just on social media. And again, it depends business by business, but most likely 8 times out of 10, they're gonna go with the person who, again, has the website, has the social media, has the Google business, right? And again, let's say this person right here with the website, they notice he has reviews, Google reviews. So they go on Google, they find him on Google, they see the reviews, yep, perfect, he's super legit. He builds, all that right there is building credibility, right? That credibility is gonna go a long way. And again, once they actually see the full thing, he starts separating himself from people who just have social media, right? And this is where this guy starts looking more like a, personal brand, personal business, professional guy versus influencer who does weddings, right? That's the other thing. Again, I told you guys, personal branding and being an influencer is 2 separate things, but you got to know how to separate them, right? Again, you can look super professional on social media, but somebody who has already built credibility in different ways and connected them is going to look a lot more premium than somebody who's just on social media, right? So again, just think about that. Now, stage 3, the social media guy can forget about stage 3, right? And the drift. So the drift is basically what I like to call whenever, they go into your social media, they go into your website, they go into your, kind of like to look at your full credibility, and they like you, but they might not be ready to buy, whether that's a money issue, whether that's a trust issue, because again, just because you have everything in place doesn't mean it's showcasing the right way, so people can automatically build that trust. So again, on social media, you might have, all your work, but you might not be showcasing like behind the scenes stuff. You might not be showcasing, like testimonials, you interacting with clients, stuff like that, right? So you want to make sure all that is set to again continue to build that credibility. And then again, once this happens, once this drift happens, right, when they're not mentally ready or prepared to spend a good amount of money with you, this doesn't necessarily mean they're a lost client or a lost cause. It just means you don't really have a system to get them back, right? And again, you're not trying to call them every day, every week, every month and be like, yeah, hire me. Like that's not the goal, right? That's not the goal. But I do feel like a lot of people do not pay as much attention to this as they should. So that leads me to stage 4, and that's basically the re-entry, right? So the people who drifted away. So again, for me, you should be able to close on stage 1 and 2. right? Stage 2 is like the close, because it's again credibility. They get on a phone call with you, like, and this is based off, a wedding photographer, videographer. They get on a phone call with you. You already build a credibility. All you got to do is close the sale, or again, whatever business you have. Stage 2, once they build that credibility on, online, they either call you or they go to your, to your store. If you got a local store, storefront. If not, this is where we kind of like bring him back in. So what is a re-entry system, right? So again, if wedding photographer, right? If they go into your website, they fill out the form, y'all got to hop on the call. They're like, well, we're not ready. Maybe your sales pitch or whatever sucked. Fine. Work on that, right? Make sure you work on that and get better, right? Second, capture their emails. If you capture the emails, send them some case studies. Send them some before and after work. Build your email marketing up, right? And to the ones that you weren't able to close, send them emails maybe once a month, right? Just remind them that you are still there, right? You're still there for them, right? No matter what. Send them some tips, some free tips, right? That way, again, you can build more credibility, but you can also start building more trust, right? Because again, sometimes they just don't buy because you didn't sound like, like you were the right person, and therefore their trust on you went down. So the goal is to rebuild that trust and get them back in. And again, you can do this with follow-up content. You can do this with Facebook ads. So this is where Facebook ads are, come in handy, right? Facebook ads can come in handy for stage 1. So, for discovery phase, and also for stage 4, and that's kind of bringing them in, constantly appearing on their socials, right? So that's where that's where social media ads play a big role. And that sort of leads to stage 5, which is self-conviction. So basically, again, once you get them back in the door, right, that's where self-conviction plays a big role. So they're going to be on your website either to convince themselves, right, that they need you, that you're the right person, or that they don't need you and you're not the right person. Those are the main two that they're really trying to answer, right? Sure, stuff in there like, yeah, I like their work, I don't like their work, but all that stuff goes into those two questions. Do I need this person or do I not need this person? Those are the two main things. If you take those two questions and build your brand around that, right, based on the client that you want, it's a lot easier to build trust with them, right? Of course, you gotta make sure you're putting in the work, giving a good product, a good service. But again, keeping those two things in mind, right, answering that for the client, it's going to be easier to close on deals, to close on clients, get more clients in the door, and overall just have a better year for your business and that expansion. So how does it all connect? Once again, personal branding and business branding is all in one, but at the same time, they're a little different. How do they both connect? Your personal brand is findable and recognizable, right? So for example, like word of mouth is a way of personal branding, right? So if people are talking about you, there's a friend of a friend says, hey, I need a wedding photographer or a cleaning business or a home renovation, right? They're going to tell them, hey, look, check out this guy. Rod does wedding films, right? If you go to his page, I'm pretty sure his website is there. They go to your page. And again, if you are sharing your stuff, some behind the scenes, you're already building credibility. And then once they go to the website, done deal. So again, people search for people they have heard of. All right, that's how your personal branding connects to your business. Again, credibility, and it goes back to like getting rooms that have people and communities that you want to serve, right? Because again, they're going to be answering questions of like what we want, what we need, and you're there to take notes, listen, and in that way you can structure your business around that and actually serve them something that they actually want. Or just in general, meeting with new people, meeting other people, getting your face out there, getting your name out there, get your business name out there, showing your work. All that's going to build that credibility. Why? Because you are doing it. So you have done it, you are doing it, and you look forward to doing some more. Third phase, the drift, right? So again, posting consistently is gonna help and keep that the stable a stable ground. So again, during this phase, right, you want to keep posting, right? You want to keep showcasing some behind the scenes. You want to keep appearing, showing your face, your story, some before and after stuff, anything that you can showcase that's going to build your brand that aligns with the business, right? So that way you can continue to build trust. And even if you don't get that person, that's fine. You might get, from one person that you didn't close on, you might get 5 more that actually want to close on the extra work that based on the extra work or the extra post that you're posting. Because again, you're constantly building that brand, and they're looking for that consistency. And again, the re-entry phase, right? Whenever you start retargeting like Facebook ads, Google ads, and stuff like that, right? Now it's not like, okay, this business is appearing. It's more like, oh, Rod Studios. I know Rod. I actually talked to him, the other day. Great guy, amazing guy. Let me check it out one more time to make my final decision. And that right there, it's like, hey, I know Rod now. I talked to him. Great guy, can make a big difference in whether they're gonna hire you or not. So again, that's where the personal branding comes in. And then again, the self-conviction is basically like I mentioned, testimonials, reviews, anything that has your name on it, your name attached to it. Again, it builds more credibility, builds more trust, and more awareness of you as a person, and therefore builds more trust towards your business, because they know that you are doing great work on whatever you do, whether that's for the community, whether that's for photography, whether that's cleaning services, home renovations, whatever the case might be. That right there builds more credibility than just any logo. So before I finish this video, I want to give you an action plan as far as what you can start doing right now, today, this week, right? And again, it's all based off this motion framework that I'm giving you for free. Define your customer, right? Define your target customer. Not everyone, specific person. Who do you want to serve? Who energizes you? Who is a client that you are looking forward to meeting and working with? Google yourself right now, right? Google yourself, your name and your business name, and see what pops up, right? Is it convincing enough for somebody to hire you? Is the message correct? Is the message that appears say specifically what you do and who you serve, right? If it doesn't, how can you make it, sound legit? How can you make it sound like, hey, look, this is who I serve? Audit your website, right? If you don't have a website, go ahead and get a website, right? If you need help with a website, you can always email me. I'll leave the link down below. Whenever you open your website, does it look professional? Does it look like this guy knows what he's doing? Is it up to par, like for 2026, right? Again, in 2026, websites are looking amazing. Make sure yours is not stuck in the past. And number 5, post consistently. Number 5, post consistently. So not to go viral. Again, big difference from building a personal brand and a business brand and being an influencer. So again, you want to post consistently, not to go viral. Posting keeps you visible during that drift stage where people are just searching, right? Searching for whether that's the cheapest, the most expensive, the luxury, the most premium, right? Keep posting, right? And again, you want to make sure you're speaking to the one that you want to speak to. Or do you want to speak to the premium? Do you want to speak to the cheaper one, the fastest one? Who are you trying to speak to? And post accordingly to that. And then again, you're not chasing followers. What you're building is trust with the right people, the right customers, and that right there is going to take you a long way. Once again, my name is Rodrigo. I am a creative director, and you can always check my work out at rodstudio.com or rhcreativedirector.com. 2 different websites, 2 different purposes. See you guys in the next video.